Another perspective is Senator Patty Murray of Washington State, number 3 in Democratic leadership. Senator Murray, welcome to Meet the Press.
Great to be here, Chuck.
I remember covering your race, and it was the reason you had stated for running was your reaction to the Anita Hill hearings. And I remember at first, a lot of people didn't give you much of a chance, and you've now been a United States Senator since 1992.
Correct.
You said this about the Republicans 27 years later, that the Judiciary Committee is leading us down the exact same path and in many ways an even worse one. How are things worse?
Well, I think that one of the things that I remember from the Anita Hill hearings was the way she was treated by United States senators, that she was presumed that she was lying, that it was a fantasy, that she was making it up. That's how the questions came from the United States senators, and she was never given the full opportunity to be believed from the start. I sense that again as I hear a number of the comments, the majority leader saying we're going to plow right through this like it's this petty little thing over here. People saying, well, she's got the votes, we're just going to get her through, we got to deal with this hiccup. That kind of conversation is exactly what leads to many people in this country, women and men, saying they don't get it, particularly now in the MeToo movement, where women have felt that they can speak out, that it doesn't have to be a hidden thing in their past, that they don't have to not tell anybody. The message that it's a hiccup or we're going to plow through this is exactly what they don't want to hear today.
You know, it's interesting that you word it that way, because I'm curious of your reaction of this TV ad that's being run by Demand Justice, which is a group on the left that is opposing Judge Kavanaugh. I want to play for you this ad because it presumes him guilty, and I want to play it for you and see what you think of this. Take a look.
When 15-year-old Christine tried to scream, her attacker covered her mouth so no one could hear her. Will Susan Collins listen to her now?
I play it now because what you just described, it was presuming her not to be telling the truth. This is presuming him to already be guilty. It seems as if we're in a bad situation, no matter your point of view.
Well, here's how I see it. For a very long time in the history of this country, when women spoke out about allegations of sexual assault or abuse, they were presumed to be making it up, or culturally not talking, or told to be quiet. Mm-hmm. So I think it's really important in this time and this day that we recognize when women speak out that we should presume that they are innocent. Look, if someone says, my car got stolen, you don't presume they're lying.
Right.
But if someone says, I was sexually abused, people today sometimes presume that they're making it up, that they're whatever. It should be a presumption of innocence and then have a fair process to go through to determine the truth.
Do you think a hearing where it's really his word, her word? We're not going to have anything else. We're not going to have any other witnesses, it appears. There's not going to be an FBI investigation. That's a tough, same question I asked to Senator Perdue. You're a human being. How are you going to determine this?
Yeah.
How do you determine who's telling the truth? Because it's going to be your own gut, is it not?
Well, the way the Senate Republicans have now set this up, that is what we're going to have, is do you believe her or do you believe him? That is exactly why we have been pressing for an FBI investigation that should only take a few days. So there are other facts out there, that there are other witnesses. In fact, I have said many times that the Anita Hill hearing was a disaster, but they did have an FBI investigation. They did have other witnesses. There were other ways to judge this. The Senate Republicans have predetermined the outcome of that this will be a he says, she says, by taking that away.
This was interesting, but Anita Hill wrote the following on Wednesday, and she sort of had a suggestion for the Judiciary Committee. She wrote, today the public expects better from our government than what we got in 1991, that the Senate Judiciary Committee still lacks a protocol for vetting sexual harassment and assault claims that surfaced during a confirmation hearing suggests that the committee has learned little from the Thomas hearing, much less the more recent Me Too movement. It is actually what she's suggesting. There is no protocol, right, on Judiciary Committee on how, is there a protocol anywhere in the United States Senate of you guys deal with a lot of advice and consent when it comes to nominees, of when there is an allegation like this? Is there any protocol in the Senate for this?
Well, clearly not. And this is what I have been saying since the beginning of this, a week ago now, is that the Senate Congress failed the test in 1991 with Anita Hill, that they could deal with this kind of allegation. And they have to be able to deal with this kind of allegation if we're going to be putting people on the highest court of the land. And here we are today. How the Senate handles this and the Senate Republicans handle this will be a test of this time, of 2018, in the MeToo movement. Can we do better? And I fear we are failing that if we don't do it correctly.
If there is no FBI investigation, I want to show you something that Senator Sheldon Whitehouse said to me, and a warning that he had for Republicans. Take a listen.
Sooner or later, I mark my words, there will be an investigation into this. It may be in a subsequent Congress, but you can't get away with having something like this take place.
And I followed up with him, and he said, yes, if there is a Democratic Senate, that maybe that this needs to be taken up again if this doesn't feel fully investigated and he's on the court. Do you support something like that?
Well, in fact, I understand that there could be allegations filed in Maryland still on this if he was on the court. So it's important that we get this right, and I am really focused on
Should this affect his
that.
current judgeship?
His current judgeship, I don't know. I don't know the facts. I don't know the end of this, and certainly that is something that is possible, but I don't know the facts yet, and we all would like it. That's why we want an FBI investigation. That's why we want this done right. But here's what I do know.
Okay.
If the Senate plows through this, if it's a hiccup, if they don't do it right, there will be a tremendous backlash again. I was in the airport yesterday, and a woman came up to me, an older woman, and she said, I was told 40 years ago when this happened to me, don't say anything, by my parents. What a horrible message to young girls today. What a horrible message to young men today that they can get away with this. Let's get this right.
Would we be in this situation, this sort of point of where it feels like we're so divided if the filibuster were still around?
Well, certainly what the filibuster did with a Supreme Court nominee forward, that there had to be more of a consensus, that we would have more.
Cooling saucer.
It would, and it would mean that we would have people on the highest court of this land that needed to have more
Democrats get the majority
support.
back? Are you going to advocate for bringing the filibuster
You
back?
know, that's a really good question, and one that, philosophically I agree with, but I will tell you what if we did? What if Democrats put the filibuster proof back in and turned around, the Republicans got the majority and took it away? I mean, we have to ask that question, and that to me is extremely troubling.
Welcome to our fractured democracy. Anyway, Senator Patty Murray, Democrat from Washington State. The other Washington, as you guys always like to remind us.
Thank you.
In that way. Thank you for coming on and sharing your views.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and then click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.